Hello, everybody. So today we are going to be doing a Q&A. Let me bring up my screen. I have collected a few questions from you all from our self-inquiry support group. So I'm just going to be going down the list. We have questions of many different types. I think overall it will just help with many different areas of the spiritual journey. Self-inquiry, surrender, daily consistent devotion. So let's see what we have today. Let's get started. So the first question comes to us from Praveen. How is it possible for body and mind to know something that's beyond body and mind? No matter how much this body and mind meditates. And if the case is that it is not this body and mind who will realize anything, then what can this body and mind do about it? Yeah. So the first thing is, yes, you are right. It is not the body and mind that will realize something, that will come to, it is not the body and mind that is currently undergoing a journey of awakening. That is what things appear to be. So that is the story being portrayed by experience, that you are the body and mind and you are awakening. But what the story reveals is your true identity. On the surface level, it is you, the person, realizing what is true. But on a deeper, subtler level, it is like you can call it the unraveling of the true nature of things, or just the removal of ignorance. And it is not something that is happening to someone. It is not even the self that is awakening. Like these are all just personal ways of going about it. It is just the removal of ignorance. Honestly, that is the best we can do with words. And now, when you ask, what can the body and mind do about it? Nothing in particular. This question still implies that I am the body and mind that can either do something or not do something about it. But the whole thing is to recognize that regardless of what the body and mind appear to be doing or not doing, you are not that. So this question does not remain. Now, after this answer, the body and mind, through a compulsion of their own nature, may still be practicing in order to grow spiritually. And that is the story that the appearance is portraying. That is just the life journey that is appearing. So it's not the body and mind that is sort of like making awakening happen, but the appearance is portraying a story of the spiritual journey. And so just embrace that. On the surface level, make the effort. You appear to be the body mind and you are drawn towards spiritual discovery. So make the effort, do practice. If you don't feel called to practice, don't practice. But see that your own nature will compel you to it. Your own experience will require you to practice if you want to be happy, if you want to be at ease, if you want to embrace your destiny, which, if these teachings are coming to you, your destiny is awakening. That is the story being portrayed by experience now. So, on the surface level, make the effort, do everything you can to awaken to the truth of what you are. Inwardly, know that it's all happening. It's all a show of which you are only the witness. That is a way you can sort of also balance this non-doership teaching. On the surface level, you appear to be the doer, so do. But inwardly, you are understanding that I am not the body that acts, I am not the mind which thinks. Both the body and the mind are changeful experiences being observed by that which is still that which I am. So In that way, proceed with your spiritual practice. Wonderful. So let's move on to our second question. By the way, love the conversation that usually takes place here in the comments whenever we collect these questions, and I love seeing you all help each other. By the way, so this is this time being posted on YouTube. Usually it's just posted inside of our group, but if you are watching this on YouTube and you would like to join our group to get in on this conversation, to submit your own questions, and also to access our classroom full of amazing materials that will help your practice, such as the self-inquiry mini course and all the previous recordings of these Q&As, you can join the support group. I'll link it down below. It's completely free to join. Great community here, as you can see. Always nice to read through this entire page. All right, so the second question comes to us from Ruth. Can you talk about the state prior to consciousness and awareness? Hard to talk about that which is prior to things which are able to be talked about. I will recommend to you two resources. So if you go over to my website, just give me a second. Over here, you'll see a section on books. This is my book recommendation list. These are just books that I've read in my journey that have been of great guidance to me. So on your particular question regarding prior to consciousness, I would recommend this book, Consciousness and the Absolute by Nisargadatta Maharaj. By the way, I do not recommend reading this if you haven't yet read I Am That. So that's the first one. This is sort of like the second one. You can also take a look at the book Prior to Consciousness here. Okay. So this one is great, and Consciousness and the Absolute, this one. To offer you some words on the state prior to consciousness and awareness, here, there's actually a conversation I had here just yesterday, and it was a question by Ulka, and she said, how can thought ever see or feel the seer of thought? How can you ask, is the seer of thought thinking? So this I'm going to read out. I think this is also an answer that will shed some light on your question. So try not to mentally dissect, feel into these statements. Perhaps it will help. To know is to be. So in regards to your question, Ruth, to know that which is prior to consciousness is to be that. To know is to be that which knows. You cannot know yourself as an object, yet you know that you, that which knows, is. Not trying to confuse. I know these words can sometimes feel tricky and like a maze, but just try to feel into it and don't interpret too much. I'll give a little explanation. To know your being is to know yourself. To be is to know. To know is to be. So this I want to state, because you say, what is prior to consciousness? So that which is prior to consciousness, we cannot know, right? Because any object cannot be that. And even consciousness is its light, call it its presence. So consciousness is the isness of that which is prior to consciousness. So when you know your being, when you know your being, you are being that which is prior to the beingness. That's why the direct practice that we have been given is be aware of your being, be aware of being aware. When you are aware that you are or when you are aware that you are conscious, you are that which is prior to consciousness. Not that you are never not that, but in that moment, your identification with all the objects of consciousness is at halt. It's at a total stop. And you are being as you are. And that is Ramana Maharshi's main teaching, right? Be as you are. So that's sort of the best that I can do with words regarding this subject. But I would recommend you to read those two books. This one here, Consciousness in the Absolute, and Prior to Consciousness. All right. So next question we have is by Gesandu. Hi, Sunny. My question is, when you have faced a very crucial situation that whether any decision you make can have such an intense impact on your life, possibly of repeating the same trauma patterns again, what should I do? Although I know all of this is just mental concerns, but generally speaking, um, okay, so in any difficult situation, it is an opportunity to practice surrender, total surrender. And that's how I go about it. When a lot seems at stake, that is when your surrender is needed the most. And what that means is that you recognize your powerlessness to be able to control and manipulate everything to the way you want. And you see that when you try to do so, you only suffer and sometimes make more of a mess of things. So surrender yourself, inwardly let go of attachment to all outcomes. And then trust what comes out of that. So when I'm in the middle of a difficult situation and I don't know how it's going to go and a lot seems to be at stake, I simply just surrender. I do my best to let go of attachment to any particular outcome or result. And then I just sort of give myself over to the moment. And then I trust whatever thought, speech, and action arises from that. And that is a great lesson I learned from doing these videos, from doing live meetings, especially. It requires you to surrender. When I just started doing that, when I started doing meetings in our self-inquiry school, where I would do like live Q&As or live guided meditations, in the beginning, I used to try to control those meetings. I wanted them to go as great as possible. I wanted to help as best as possible. But I started to recognize that I am powerless in my capacity to be able to control that outcome and to make it happen. Instead, I started to realize that when I do those meetings, and even here and now when I'm making this video, my responsibility is actually to surrender and just give myself over to this moment. Not try too hard to control anything, just total surrender, letting whatever happens happen, and then trusting whatever thought, speech, and action coming from that. So that is the quote unquote attitude that I make all these videos with, along with all the live meetings that I do inside of our school. I just surrender. That's the same approach I use in daily life, whether it's simple situations or hard situations, especially during hard situations because you have no other option. The more you tread this path of self-inquiry, this path of self-knowledge, the more you are required to surrender. Otherwise, your inner suffering will become too great. It's a great mechanism built into life, right? Like it requires us to implement the practice. Otherwise, we are not happy. So surrender is the only way. Be willing to go through anything that life has placed in your way, whether that's repeating the same patterns again or experiencing an like undesirable experience. Just no longer pray to God for this experience or that experience. Pray to God for the strength to go through all experiences without resistance. Okay, so the next question comes to us from Frank. The method or technique of staying present. What am I sensing? You are sensing your being and feel it here and now. Sense your existence. When your attention is here, you are present. Sense being aware. That's simple. When you sense your existence or beingness, awareness, you are present and you are not lost in thoughts. Whenever you get lost in thoughts, simply let go and bring your attention back to your beingness, your presence. All different words for the same thing. Next question we have is from Nathan. Hello, Nathan. Is it possible to perform physical exercise in a selfless way? Or is it all just ego trying to maintain attachment to the body? No, nothing like that. Spiritual practice does not require you to stop living life and doing certain things. In the midst of your life as it is, implement the spiritual practice. So it's not that because you are not the body, that you can no longer exercise, or that's just the ego trying to maintain attachment. No, if you are called towards exercise and doing it very intensely, even do it. You can, maybe your passion is self-improvement and bodybuilding. And if maybe you're an athlete, work on the body. It's that simple. Don't need to even do it in a selfless way. All you need to do is, as all just regular life is unfolding, please observe that you are not the changeful body. Okay? The body can be doing anything. It could be exercising, it could be sitting, it could be working, it could be this, that. Regardless, you are not that. You are not, let's say, your car, but you still maintain the car. It's just the regular way of things, you know? Maybe you go get a car wash. Maybe you take it to the mechanic, get an oil change. So the body is just yeah, it has its own maintenance things. Like you may need to every now and then go get a massage. You need to eat healthy. You need to exercise. Even in your meditation practice, for the body to not become an obstacle, you have to keep the body in a fairly decent shape, and get good rest every day so that you don't, constantly feeling sluggish and fall asleep in meditation. So don't think that if you're engaging in any of these things that you are sort of like um, strengthening the ego in any way. Just go about it all normally. Live a normal life. Do what you feel. On the surface level of life, you appear to be the body, so be the body. Play, do what you enjoy, do what you are passionate about. Exercise, eat well if you feel you want to. But inwardly, don't be attached to needing the body to be any particular way. You can exercise, you can even do like bodybuilding without being attached to what that process must yield to you and in how long, So your job is inwardly to keep observing that you are not these changeful experiences, including the body and mind, and inwardly just be completely free from attachment to any outcome. That is what will serve you throughout the journey. And keep meditating daily. Experience your impersonal nature. And whether you're exercising or resting, working, whenever you remember, let go of this mental narrative and be present. Be aware of being. Keep your attention grounded inward, no matter what you do. No need to worry about maintaining it. Just in any moment, you remember that you are outward, come inward. And in that way, go by your life simply. So, next question is by Gurmeet. Can you share some tips and actions which keep us aware throughout the day? So, here, I will first also guide you to some resources. So, if we are to go here, if you go to my YouTube channel and you go to my playlists, you'll see a playlist here called Abiding as Awareness. So, take a look at the full playlist. It's a number of videos here in which I have talked about how to stay present throughout the day in many different ways. So definitely explore this playlist if you haven't seen any of these videos yet. That would be my advice. Now, with that, to give you just some quick tips, I will say, first and foremost, to be more and more present throughout the day, you have to prioritize your spiritual journey over everything else. And as I said to Nathan in his previous question, this doesn't mean that you stop doing other things. It means that actually now every other thing in your life becomes an avenue through which you grow spiritually. So your relationships, your work, your personal life, it's no longer just about what you can get out of them personally. Now all of these are avenues through which you implement the spiritual teachings and grow spiritually. All of these areas of life become avenues through which you experience all these ups and downs and challenges and difficulties, which require you to implement the spiritual teachings and grow spiritually. So, desire truth, God, self knowledge, more than you desire wealth, pleasure, prosperity. That's first and foremost. Because if you desire worldly pleasure and experiences more than you desire truth, then you're always going to be more lost in thought about tomorrow, later. Okay? So first is prioritize truth above everything else. And if you've ever read the Bhagavad Gita, which is something that I would recommend for everybody, because it goes over the path in such a beautiful, holistic way, Krishna leads in the first chapter with exactly that advice. He says, make me your highest goal. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita speaks as our true self, and he says, make me your highest goal. He leads with that before he gives really any other advice. So that's the first thing regarding how to be more present during the day. Second would be practice daily meditation. You don't know how many people join our group and listen to these videos, read these books, but they don't practice any meditation. They're still running away from silence. So but they want to practice this during the day. They want to be aware during the day. First step is meditate, sit down, especially for meditation, for staying present. Do it every single day, twice per day, for 20 minutes to 30 minutes each session. Because you'll see that that is the foundation you need to be able to be present during the day also. Otherwise, you will remain deeply entangled in the world, in personal motives and desires and fears. Another thing I would recommend is start to live more and more in surrender. Because now you are no longer just chasing worldly experience and pleasure, rather, you are interested in the true nature of things. Rather than constantly being attached to outcomes and results, start to do all your work, live your daily life without attachment to any particular thing that must happen or must not happen. That's the way. Then your mind will naturally be more loose because the more attachment there is in the mind, the more compelling you're thinking and the less you are able to stay present. So, less attachment, more open, empty presence naturally. So, those are my tips for you. And I would recommend, once again, another resource for you is this. So, I've actually recently been really recommending this video to many people. If you go to my channel on the homepage, this will be the video that's there. It's called The Open Secret to Inner Peace and Awakening. There are 5 tips in here that I believe are the main overall practice that you need to be doing in your spiritual path. So if you haven't seen this, make sure to watch this video after this one. It will help you stay present more and more during the day. I hope you're enjoying the Q&A so far. I did also want to just let you know that if this practice is being really difficult for you and you want more structure, consistency, and support, you can also check out our self-inquiry school. So over here, as you'll see in the classroom, we have an amazing 10-week self-inquiry course. Every single day takes you deeper than the last. And it's sort of like a 10-week meditation journey that guides you deeper and deeper into the understanding of your true nature. So during this 10-week journey, you will see your mind identification become weaker and weaker, and you will start to become clearer in the understanding of your true nature on an experiential level, not just merely conceptual. So I would definitely recommend this course for anybody who is really interested in learning self-inquiry and wanting to go deeper in the practice, and also anybody who just wants extra support. Here you can see we also do Q&A meetings that happen live on Zoom, meditation meetings that happen live on Zoom, and online retreats every month. So really amazing group here. If you'd like, you can join. Let's go back to our support group. So next question comes to us from Divya. Is awareness reflection of self in non-self? If so, what can we do to realize self? Would I know when I realize self? First thing I would say is just loosen your idea of what it means to realize the self. Okay? Have no idea in your mind about what self-realization looks like. Because whatever idea you have of what it looks like, it is not that. Now, is awareness reflection of self in non-self? I like the way you presented that. We can say, yes, this sense, I am aware, being aware, is the reflection of the true one reality in the realm of illusion. That's why the direct path meditation is be aware of being aware. So you say here, if so, what can we do to realize self? Be as you are. If you take a look at Ramana Maharshi's, so there's one of the main books that are written on his teachings. The title of that book is Be As You Are. The teachings tell us to know yourself, be yourself. To know yourself, be as you are, rather than believing in what you are not as what you are. When you are aware of being, all concepts stop. All concepts are submerged in the ocean of awareness. And the ignorance, I am this, I am that, starts to melt away. So all the great sages and teachers tell us to keep returning to this thoughtless, wordless presence. You can call it meditation, you can call it prayer, you can call it being as you are. Whatever you call it, this is the essence of all practice, and this is how we, quote unquote, realize ourselves. Keep practicing this and hold on to no idea of what's to come, of what will happen or may happen. Just let go. And let what comes surprise you. Wonderful. Okay, so next question we have is from Ulka. Practical question. My job will not be there after a few days. After 35 years of service, suddenly won't have anything. A subtle continuous pain exists in spite of accepting everything. Can it be alleviated instantly, like a flash of understanding? Or I must go through it and wait for it to heal with time? I will give you some advice. On the spiritual path, stop seeking flashes of insight. Stop seeking instant results. It is the immature mind that does so. And if you keep believing in that, if you keep identifying with that, it will make your life miserable. The spiritual path is not some sort of chase for like a instant shift or giant realization that completely changes you for all time. For the most part, you will experience the spiritual path as a gradual unraveling of untruth into truth. Go through what you need to go through. Stop resisting life, pain or pleasure. Be willing to experience whatever life has in store for you. Stop seeking some sort of immediate release or realization or shift. That is not what this path is about. It's about slowing down, learning to understand, becoming genuinely curious about the true nature of things, not just trying to let go of illusion or melt your ignorance because you feel like it will make your experience eternally pleasant. That's not what it's about. So let go of those limiting ideas because they create misery in your day-to-day life. And they forbid you from going about your practice in a very authentic, calm manner. Look forward to this new period in your life where now you will maybe have more time on your hands for the spiritual practice. God gives you what you need in every moment. So perhaps this new phase of life, this is exactly what you need. Welcome it with open arms. rather than making it into a problem. There are many people who want to be in your shoes and want a break from working or want to stop working. So, whatever your life circumstances are, embrace them. Don't resist them. Okay. So, next question is by Madhu. How to understand some of the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita from the teachings of self-inquiry perspective. Krishna says we are not the doer, yet he urges us to build sattvic qualities and do duties as per our dharma. So, what do you think the self-inquiry perspective is telling you to do? Do you think the self-inquiry perspective is saying you are not the doer, Madhu, so stop doing everything? No. On the surface level of life, you appear to be this. This is what you appear to be. From this perspective, do the right thing. Do what you feel is the right thing to do in any given moment. And you will notice if you just observe yourself, which thought, speech, and actions create harmony, and which thought, speech, and actions create suffering, not only for yourself, but also others. If you really observe, you will see this is how I have to act if I want harmony and happiness and spiritual growth. And this is how I will, this, if I act this way, it will create only pain, suffering, and ignorance. So, even from that perspective, on the surface level of appearance, where you feel like you are the doer, you appear to be the doer, choose rightly, do the right thing, take care of your responsibilities, do the work that you have been given in this current theme of life. Inwardly, you are learning to observe. You are learning to see that you are not the body that is acting, and you are not the mind that is thinking and deciding. The mind that is deciding, the body that is acting, are both changeful experiences being seen. So you're going to have to play this paradox. On the surface level, you appear to be the thinker, speaker, doer. So continue to play that role. Inwardly, start seeing that it's all happening spontaneously. Krishna's advice is also not just for, in the way that I've shared it now, Krishna's advice is also for one who does not yet understand that he or she is not the doer. So Krishna says, do your duties, do good things, work without expectation, work without attachment to results and rewards, because that is what purifies the intellect of the seeker and prepares him or her to recognize the truth, to finally start to become more clear how everything is simply happening spontaneously without any doer, and that I am not the mind and body. Selfless action leads to that understanding also. It's one path. In one of the chapters, you'll recall in the Gita, Krishna says, the wise understand there that they do nothing. Everything is just the play of the gunas interacting with each other. Yet they do all those things. They do everything that they need to do. So just like that, observe the people who are wise, observe the great teachers and sages. And when we observe them, when we take their advice and try to implement it in our own lives, we naturally start to become clear. So on the surface level, you appear to be the doer, so do and do the right thing. There's a authentic, unique expression that is called Madhu, and it has its own way of unfolding. You appear to be the doer of that, so play that role, enjoy it. That's what makes life worth living. Inwardly, surrender. Inwardly know that it's all simply happening. It's all God's will. By the way, if you're having any questions while you are watching this video, you can comment it in the comment section of this video. Let's get a conversation going over there as well. And if you do want to submit your own questions, make sure to join our free group as well. So next question is by Amudhan. When does spirituality become not boring and more inviting? To me, spiritual practice was never boring. So perhaps I'm not the best person to answer that question because for me, it became the most important thing when, because as you know, if you've seen the video on my story, the spiritual path came to me when I was in a state of deep suffering due to a physical spinal injury, years and years of physical pain, emotional and mental suffering. I was completely broken. So I had no choice but to pursue the path. And in that way, I was lucky. Now, with that said, when I started to practice, of course, you have phases of where it's dull and boring and repetitive and mechanical, but that's just a phase. It comes and goes. As I started to embark on the spiritual path, the flame of self discovery was lit so brightly within me because I don't know, I just found it so fascinating that life was not the way that I believed it to be all my life. All my belief systems were starting to be shattered. I was starting to see that like the world is not what it appears to be. And so I just became genuinely curious about the truth. At first, of course, it was all egoic, meaning I just wanted to know more about reality so that I can manipulate it and control it. That was when I was really in my empowerment phase where I wanted to create the life I wanted to live. But gradually, it just kept becoming more and more pure the deeper I went, the more I explored, the more I meditated. Then it became, rather than a desire to control life, rather than a desire to understand life in order to control it, it became about genuinely wanting to understand the true nature of things. So, yeah, for me, it was never boring. For you, if that's part of your path, just start to see the need of it. It won't be boring if you just start to see the need of it and how that without it, your life is suffering. And if it doesn't feel like that, I mean, you're not forced to practice. Don't just practice because someone has said it's good for you. See the need of it in your life. See that you are happier, lighter, more peaceful, clearer with it. But it is always inviting. It's always inviting you in, constantly coming into your life through people, books, videos, opportunities to practice. So don't say it's not inviting. You may find it boring because it's not as stimulating as some of the other activities you may be engaging in on a daily basis, but you need quietude. To go inward, you need quietude. The mind finds that boring in the beginning, but it's not really so. Once you genuinely become curious about your true nature, about, when you desire the truth, God, self, more than you desire things, there's a curiosity that makes turning inward fun, exciting. If you need help with your practice, consider joining our school. We'll help you with that. Okay, so next question. I see there's many, so we'll answer one of them. um, so the question is, if the ego mind wants us to be productive and the I am wants us to just, okay, the I am doesn't want anything, okay? And you are not something that is in the middle of the ego and the I am. What is this you that is in the middle of the ego and the I am? Do you see how the mind is creating a lot of confusion and it has a lot of ideas? It says, I am this thing here in the middle. And like those movies where they show you someone is having a hard time making a decision and there's a devil over this shoulder and like a godly angel on this shoulder. Don't divide the ego and I am into that. The ego is your idea of yourself. It is who you think you are. It is the personal identity. I am is your true identity. It is your changeless beingness. So I amness doesn't want anything. Okay? I amness is not something that wants something. Yet I amness is not separate from you. So do you see that this question, I haven't read the whole thing, but the question itself arises from the wrong idea. So this type of question, so let's further read it and then maybe we'll talk more about it. So the I am wants us just to be aware without thinking. Then exactly how do you get to expand and experience what we chose to experience before we came here? Yeah, it's just the mind creating a lot of ideas. It's just another idea that, oh, before I came here, I chose this and this to experience. All of these are stories. All of these are stories. Let go of stories. Let go of concepts. In this moment, be. And that does not mean you are not productive. Being is fact. Even when the body is doing, the mind is thinking, life is happening, all those experiences can only appear because I am. They appear to me. To be does not mean to stop doing. It's a matter of identity. It's a matter of where you place your identity. So spiritual practice is not about stopping doing. It is one aspect of it is to stop constantly chasing experiences and being attached to experiences because that will never allow you to explore your being. So inwardly become non-attached to whatever experiences come. Live in total acceptance of what comes and what may go, with no idea of, oh my God, I chose to come here to experience this. No. When you rid yourself of all ideas, of all attachment to what you want or what you don't want, then what is meant to happen happens, free of any distortion and suffering. That's the path of surrender. Surrender does not mean not do anything. Surrender means become open to whatever may come and whatever may go. Do not resist what was, what is, and what may be. In that, your most authentic personal life unfolds. And that is also the path to spiritual knowledge. Empty of ideas, you grow in wisdom. In ideas, you can see how much of a mess mind creates. Creates more and more ideas and more questions based on those ideas. It just takes you further and further into illusion. So one, meditate daily. Two, surrender, live in total acceptance, and enjoy. Witness the rest of the show. Okay, so when you do submit questions, try to make them as short as possible and make it as easy for me to read because otherwise I'm not able to understand your question properly. So for next time, Sonia, okay? Remember that. I'll do my best this time. How to stop associating with people, their good and bad, and live life in self. How to stop feeling myself for being responsible for others' happiness and sorrows. So, Sonia, for you, I would recommend you need a daily spiritual practice. These aren't things, you have many questions here of many different things that I'm sensing that there isn't a consistent practice. So, what I will recommend to you, go watch this video. It is called The Open Secret to Inner Peace and Awakening. In this video, I will share with you 5 pillars of spiritual practice. What does the practice mean? And 5 ways to live the practice in your daily life. If you do so, these type of inner conflicts and complexes will start to diminish on their own, or you will gain more and more clarity on how to resolve them. So please go watch this video. I believe these 5 practices will really help you with this. And if anybody watching this is also lacking a practice, please stop running away from spiritual practice. Otherwise, these videos will just not help you. Okay? Watch this video. It will teach you the practice. Okay. So next question we have from Sugunthi. Hi, Sunny. I bring my attention to the empty, silent space and be there. A while I will sense of myself watching this silence. Then I turn my attention to the sense of I and remain there. Any small movement will bring my attention to thoughts. I will bring back to the sense of I again. Am I doing it right? When you say bring attention to empty silence, empty silent space, maybe this is an image of silence you have. Because from there you say, from empty silent space, then I bring my attention to I. You know, that which I am, I, or my presence, is silent, meaning absent of concept, absence of coming and going. It just is. It is silent being. So yes, even when, let's say, you are maybe your mind is visualizing an image of silence, even that is known. Now you notice the knower. And then yes, you say like attention goes outward again, the thought. But once again, notice that even the thought is seen. So once again, notice the seer. Bring attention back to I, the seer, I, the knower. And you keep it here. Keep being fascinated and feel that here. Keep being fascinated by that which knows the appearing of this experience. What you feel here in this experience as I, it remains the same when this experience passes and another experience comes. I is still I. The experience that is known changes. The thoughts that are known change. But that I which knows does not change. So yes, in any moment you remember to, and whenever you find yourself lost in thought, return to the noticing or acknowledgement of the knower, I. This is the essence of self-inquiry meditation. I is your anchor. The knower, the knowing, the awareness is your anchor. Know the knowing, be the knowing, be aware that you know. For anybody that wants to learn this practice, we have a free mini course on self-inquiry in our free self-inquiry support group. If you go to the classroom, you can check it out here. And for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, I would also really recommend watching this self-inquiry breakthrough class. It's one of my favorite little classes that I offer. Again, it's completely free if you join our group. And of course, like if you want more extensive help and a structure to follow, then join our self-inquiry school and do our 10-week course. All right, so that brings us to our last question by Anne. Hi, Sunny and group members. How to be present when I feel miserable all the time and I still don't understand what's good about being. You see, Anne, you like feeling miserable requires you to be present. It is what is urging you to be present because without it, it's just total misery, total suffering. So start to notice that. And don't be so attached to ending your misery or making it go away by doing some spiritual practice. Spiritual practice is there so you can start to understand your misery. Why are you miserable? Being present, practicing these teachings starts to reveal to us that the root of misery, the root of suffering, is mind identification, identification of the self with the person, with the body mind. All attachment, all misery comes from that root cause. Meditation, all these practices that we do here, which by the way, we only really do two practices, meditation and surrender. Self-inquiry is in essence, meditation. Surrender is the daily approach. So spiritual practice is what helps us to break identification, dissolve identification with what we are not, and therefore all the misery and confusion that goes along with that. And it starts to help us become more and more clear in the understanding of our true nature. All your thoughts are concepts, ideas. Being is fact. Presence is ever present, changeless. All your experiences come and go. Even the body is a changeful experience. Even the mind is a changeful experience. Presence, yourself, I am changeless, formless. So when you are present, you are getting to know your true nature. And that will ultimately bring you great peace as well. Maybe not now, maybe not for a little while, but through daily devotion and consistent practice, you will grow in this understanding and you will begin to understand your misery. Experience has only grown miserable to actually wake you up. So use it. Don't run away. Don't avoid it. Don't try to end it. Seek to understand it. Seek to understand yourself. And that's what this community is here for, you know? We all go through many phases, ups and downs on our journey. We need the support of other community members. So that's what the free community is here for. Anybody who's not part of it, if you're watching this, make sure to join. It will help in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not today, but maybe some other time. So that resource is always available to daily practice. You know, so there's a teaching by the Buddha. I'll try to remember it as best as I can, but he said something like, on the spiritual journey, find refuge in the teaching. Well, actually, so he said, find refuge in the Buddha, right? So in the truth, in the self. Then, second thing, find refuge in the teaching, in the practice of it. Okay, see how it makes you peaceful, joyful, clear. And then third, find refuge in the spiritual sangha or community. That's really what we're doing here in this group, and of course, our school as well. So I would recommend that for everybody. Support each other, you know, through all the ups and downs. Stay consistent through all the ups and downs. So just a quick announcement. Give me 1 second. Our next retreat, our next online self-inquiry retreat is happening on Saturday, December 14th. You can go to selfinquiryschool.com/retreats. I'll link it down below as well and get all the info and the timing of the sessions. Right now, I'm doing early bird pricing until December 5th. So sign up before then to get the early bird price. After that, it will be a little higher. I hope to see you there. We do 3 amazing sessions. It consists of silent meditation, guided meditation, discussion, Q&A. It's a wonderful place where you can come, work on your practice, and spend some quality time, focused practice. I will again just show you that another resource you have is Self-Inquiry School. It is my main offering where you will get a 10-week self-inquiry course that will give you the structure, the guidance, the support that you need to consistently dissolve mind identification and start to awaken to your true nature more deeply. Over here, we do Q&As every week. So if you actually go take a look at our calendar here, these are our live meetings multiple times per week. You get full support. You even get the option to book one-to-one office hours meetings with me. And overall, a lovely community here. You also do get free access to my retreats. So you never have to sign up for the retreats. That's something that you get as part of the school. All right. So that's it for today. I really enjoyed doing this, and I hope you did too. Let me know what you thought of it below. Yeah, so keep practicing, stay consistent through all the ups and downs. You won't regret it. Have a good one, okay? See you next time.